everybody and welcome back to the United Stands Fans Forum. Manchester United 2, Aston Villa 0. Now, who saw that coming, or did you see it coming? The pressure's off, playing for their careers, and a good performance comes into play. How does this set up people who say Amorim's system can't work? Well, he coached practically a 6-0 win today, so is it the players? Is it the pressure? We will get into it with Mordzs, Tull and Ricky. Also going to do some post-season sort of, reviews and awards, a little bit like that. But everyone, get your comments in, get your thoughts in. The season, the dreadful season that has been 24-25 season is now officially over. We're not 17th, we're not 16th, we're 15th, so have that. Woo! Hey, anyway.
That's it.
Shameless.
Lovely speech by Ruben Amorim. The guy can talk, but he needs to deliver next season. Anyway, let's get into it. Mordzs, Tull and Ricky. I mean, Ricky, I'll come to you first. Why is it United can play like that against Villa, who are fighting for Champions League, who most neutral football fans, even United fans, would say are way ahead of United, yet we were by far the better team today? Why is that?
It's a difficult question to answer, love. I think obviously they started off great, United. They had loads of chances in the I couldn't count them. I bet we had 6 half decent chances in the first 20 minutes. It's a bit too easy just to say it could just be a coincidence, because sometimes that happens in football, and it does just sometimes happen in football with no explanation. But I'm sure a lot of people might want to say or think that the players are fighting for their lives because obviously new contracts being handed out, the manager wanting new players in and they want to show. But I think that's a bit far-fetched, only starting to do that in the very last game of the season. You know what I mean? We know that the manager wants new players. We know that we need an overhaul, and we know that with months to go. So why would you just turn it on and put the effort in the last game of the season? Why not? Especially why not in the second last game of the season when it's a cup tie? So I'll be honest with you. I know a lot of people will think it. I think it's a load of rubbish. I think it just is one of them things in football that sometimes, on some days, it clicks for you. I played hell of a lot of amateur football, decent amateur football, and I played in games where we played against a team that we knew were better than us, and you get a lift and the adrenaline pumps through you and you play really well and you win, and a week or two later you play against a team that you should batter, and for some reason it just doesn't work for you. You can't put your finger on it, and people might say, why aren't you trying like you did last week? But you are trying like you did last week, but for whatever reason, the odd bump here or the odd little bad bounce, and it just doesn't go for you. So I think today, my honest opinion is that it's just a complete coincidence. That's my opinion.
Well, Tull, I'll come to you next, because I'm seeing all of these players, dominating the ball, creating chances, making great runs, looking bang up for it, covering every blade of grass. And I know what Ricky said there, and I get that point. But there's a clear difference to me between the intensity from not even just the ability and the intelligence that was shown on the pitch by the United players, but just even the kind of the oomph, like the want for it between today and a cup final. In my head, it's like, are you more up for it today because everyone slagged you off and you're like, I want to prove everyone wrong? Or Amorim sat you down midweek when he said, I'm staying, most of you, if you don't book your ideas up, won't be, or you might be gone already, like Alejandro Garnacho. And they thought, I need to play for a movie, I need to play for my career. And they thought, you know what, I actually might have to turn it on a bit. But you can't go up for a cup final. I struggle to believe, like Ricky said, you can't go up for a cup final. So is it the mentality? Is it the pressure?
Probably a variety of things can make small differences, but I think even just looking at the way the opposition set up, Spurs on Wednesday knew exactly how to stop us, and it was just to sit back and let us have the ball. It was kind of just like they'll run themselves into trouble, whereas even though we did dominate that first half against Villa, they didn't just sit back and let us have all the ball. They were giving it a go. They just couldn't retain it. So I think things like that, maybe some players have been told that they're going to be here next season and some have been told that they're not. You'd think the players have been told they're going to be here, maybe get a little mojo boost from that. You kind of feel, if the manager told you, look, you're going to be with me next season, it kind of gives you a little bit of an uplift, doesn't it? But Yeah, I think it's just one of those things, like Rick said, it's just one of those days, isn't it, where some days it just works out. To be honest, I thought we'd get absolutely battered today. I thought we had absolutely no chance. I thought there was so much on the line for Villa, and it's just, some days you think you're going to turn a team over. And
maybe the pressure for Villa got on top of them.
That's exactly what I just wanted to say.
There's a few things in there.
That's exactly what I just wanted to say. Fans always look at it from their team's point of view. They always look at it from their team's point of view, which is natural. So we're thinking United play great today. A Villa fan watching that game will be thinking, why didn't we turn up today? Why, the pressure was all on them to try and win, because obviously if they, I think I'm right in saying, they were guaranteed Champions League football if they won. And the pressure was all on them. And they will be thinking they didn't play well rather than we played well. So, there's different ways of looking at the same game.
I mean, Mordzs, I think a big example of that was, in my opinion, Mason Mount today, and we'll get some super chats in a second. I thought Mason Mount's performance today, compared to his Europa League final performance, was just night and day. Like, the Mason Mount today is, I completely understand why Amorim picked him. Like, the crosses he was getting into the box, the runs he was making, the intelligence on the ball, I thought he was absolutely top class. And I felt like Mason Mount was playing with a point to prove. Load of people said I shouldn't have started that game, and they're getting on to me. I want to prove more right, including, subtly, his own teammate in Alejandro Garnacho, and he thought, I'm going to prove these. Where's that attitude when you're in, when you're playing the games that mean something? Yeah,
I mean, I think George said it then. There's a big difference with this United team when everybody thinks we're going to lose. And I think today was a case of, even I never say United are going to lose, even in the worst games. I always say United are going to get the win somehow. But even today I was like, you know what, I think they're going to lose 2-1. Somehow these guys got up out of bed today and thought, you know what, we're going to go out there and actually prove everyone wrong, and they went and got the win. So I mean, Mason Mount is just another example of one of the players who have that similar mentality. And to be fair, it wasn't even just him. There were quite a few players today where people have scrutinised them this season and been critical of them this season, fairly so, because if you finish 15th, someone has to be criticised in this team. But today it kind of showed me that, and I said it just before we started, there is ability in these players. There is. And I know people keep saying, but they're 17th, so there must be a 70th place players. No, these are players who can actually perform to a higher level. Maybe not the highest. Maybe they're not going to be able to perform at Champions League level and whatnot. But the level that they've been performing at this season, they can all do better. And I think today kind of just showed that there is something there there is an additional level that these players can actually reach, which they've not been able to this season. So that's why I asked the question, what is the real reason now why for the past 37 other games they've not been able to do it? Because the one today, I don't think it's a coincidence as well, because I feel like if you show you can do something, then you can do it again. You can't just accidentally be good at football for one day. They
haven't been crap every week, Mordzs. They've had some good wins. They've beaten City away, for example. They've not been crap every week, have they?
The majority of weeks.
The majority, I agree, but nothing like 37 games.
Obviously not every single. Yeah, I know. Obviously not every single game, but the majority of them.
I'm going to be honest. I think a lot of it today came down to Amorim's coaching as well. I thought he coached a really good game. I thought there was some tweaks here and there. Like I noticed we were pressing a lot in a 4-4-2, which maybe we've not done in the past, and we got in really well through that. And obviously it helps when you go down to 10 men. But again, when you have the likes of a attacking wing back playing at wing back in Ahmad, I know he wasn't in the first half before his position got changed, but I thought that was a massive help. Dorgu improving, getting forward as well, was a big help. I thought the way he changed, he's still playing a 3 at the back, but the way he changed his system from the build-up to when he was pressing, a lot of the times Manchester United were basically playing with a back 4, and I know it's not as simple as, back 4, back 3, but I think that did help free up some of our midfielders like Bruno and Casemiro to have that licence to go forward a little bit, and we were much better at holding that midfield in that respect. I thought we'll get some super chats in, and then we'll talk about some other players as well and the future of this team and the future of Amorim. By the way, can I just say, Luke Shaw being injured straight after the final.
I ranted about him before.
It's mad, isn't it?
I went crazy.
What have they said? What?
Don't want to go to Hong Kong and go Lumpur, does he?
No, but it could be.
Don't know. That's just speculation.
I think it's true. And let me say this before we even did the super chats: the difference between Luke Shaw and Aiden Heaven today. I'm not to say that Aiden Heaven would have made us win the final, but if he played like how he did today compared to Luke Shaw in that final, there would have been a big difference, and it was clear to show.
I don't agree.
I think the way we played in that
We
final,
were very lucky
that
in the
was
first 10
awful.
minutes when he gave a back pass straight to Ollie
Aidan Evans
Watkins.
today was one of our better players.
He
I
played
thought
quite
he
well.
was solid compared to the way
he played well,
in the
but he
final.
gave a back pass straight to Ollie Watkins that they could have scored from in the first 10 or 15
For the
minutes.
majority-
majority of the game, Aidan Evans played very well. And I think if he played how he played today in that final, not to say he would have won, but he would have made a huge difference in that game.
Do you think so, in the final?
100%.
I think
The way
he would
Luke
have.
Shaw played, it was awful.
I think would have. Ricky.
It was.
Ricky.
Don't tell me
I'm going to watch it again.
don't know.
I'm going to watch it
You
again.
don't.
Oh my God.
Trust me.
There's
I'm
no
gonna
way
watch
he was
it
trying to
again.
back Luke Shaw in that final.
I've always said Luke Shaw is a very good player no matter what, but since he's come back from his injury this time round, you've not seen that same Luke Shaw, and I did think he was poor in the final, I'm going to be honest, as someone who's rated him. But anyway, let's get some super chats in, we'll get into the show. Josh Emo says, before it gets brought up, he stepped on Bindy's hand, so VAR would have given a free kick for that, even if the ref hadn't blown his whistle. Look, I've only watched it in the stadium, but everyone said to me that Villa were robbed.
Bad choice,
Yeah, they got done.
But a quick question, would you all still take Emi Martinez in the summer as goalkeeper for United?
He's better than what we've got still.
He's better, but I don't want him though.
I don't want him, but he's better than
Why
both
wouldn't you want
of
him?
our keepers.
I don't know. I feel like there's
Got to
certain.
back yourself in a 1v1 versus Hoyland, surely,
Yeah,
rather than
that
take
was
him
bad.
out.
That was bad. I don't know. I feel like with sometimes some of the players that we go after, not to say that he's ever had these kind of problems, but I just want a goalkeeper that doesn't have any like distractions around him. I feel like Emi Martinez, he's very like, he likes to trigger people with some of the things that he says and the way he acts on the pitch. And I'd rather we just have a goalkeeper who just does his job and just that's it.
I can see that.
They don't bring anything else.
I
to
understand
the
what
game.
you're saying, but he's an absolutely fantastic goalkeeper.
He is. No, he is.
That's the
I'm not
first
basing
thing I
it.
look
I'm
at.
not basing it off ability. I'm just basing it off the
I agree with
outside
you.
stuff.
I
When
agree with you.
Onana tries to do it, it doesn't work.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah. He piles the pressure on,
Yeah,
doesn't he? And a lot of the
that's
time,
the
he handles it, but it looks bad when you get it wrong. You know what I mean?
I would have taken Emi Martinez a couple of years ago. Right now, don't get me wrong. If it was Emi Martinez or Onana next season, I'd take Emi Martinez.
Yeah, obviously, yeah.
But there's quite a few goalkeepers where I think I'd take Emi Martinez above them. But I would for the new keeper coming in, and my preference would be somebody else. But who that will be, we'll see.
I've got to be honest though. If he's available on a free transfer, and money's scarce.
But Martinez is available on a free transfer.
He's not signing a contract at Villa,
No,
is he?
I don't think he is now. No.
I mean,
And he's out of contract,
Yeah.
isn't he?
if it's on a
There'll be
I'm
in that case,
sure
there'll be
that's
a mad
what's going
queue
on.
for him. There'll be a mad queue. We ain't going to get him.
Probably
He'll
go Saudi or something.
go to a Champions League team, surely. Sure, and
Yeah,
Villa have
It's
not
not.
got Champions League.
His contract's not up.
Oh, is it not?
It's not up. I knew it was.
Is it next
didn't
year?
think that.
No, it's not up, but there's a lot of rumours about him going because I don't think him and Emery have a great relationship.
Right.
And I think he wants to move on, but he's not going to be on a free, so he would cost you a little bit. Andreas Goose says goalkeeper had a ball under control, hands and leg behind, can't build a team around Bruno. He's 30. Bruno's assist today, by the way, for Ahmad's goal was class.
The assist was unbelievable. You should have seen it on telly. It was,
Sorry, in real life.
it was unbelievable. Wow.
It's just, do you know what it is? That's the thing with Bruno. You get that, but you also get the
Wednesday.
the stuff that goes
Wednesday.
into it.
Wednesday.
It can cost you. It can give you and it can cost you.
And it did.
Omar N says, I have never hated a win in my life more than I hate this win, especially with Spurs losing and finishing 17th. Just bring me new attackers, 2 goalkeepers, a wing-back, centre-back depth and a bigger and physical midfielders. I'm going to get onto the wing-backs in a second, Omar. Let me come back to that. Lewis Noakes says first game will determine the rest of the season. Dylan Nunes says no pressure today. That is the reason. Glazers out says not sure about you guys, but I feel Mark is turning against Amorim. I think everyone has a right to be frustrated with Amorim and have concerns about Amorim. I've not heard him say Amorim out once, but I could understand why he'd have concerns. Anil Sekar says, we are not getting any better unless Bruno is sold. Bruno keeps playing in a position of better players like Ugarte. Ugarte isn't better than Bruno, but... I don't know about you guys. I think if Bruno stays, which today gave me the indication where I think he will stay.
Yeah.
Giving the penalty to Eriksen kind of was a little bit of an indication
I'll
to
give
me
him credit
because
for that. That was fantastic.
great captain, captaincy there to give it to Eriksen is his farewell. But I feel like if it was your last game, you'd want to take it. Or do you think Bruno's that selfish?
I mean, he's got all the numbers. He's got the more the goals in the world. It's not like he needs an extra one. You know what I mean? So I think to be fair, I feel like after that goal, he tried to get after that penalty. He gave it to Ericsson. He tried to actually get a goal a lot after that. You can see he's kicking a lot. I
think I'm right in saying after scoring today, I think Ahmad is joint top scorer with him.
In the Premier League, probably.
Yeah, for United in the Premier League, yeah. So had he taken that pen and scored it, he'd have been top again. You know what I mean? But whether he thinks like that, obviously he doesn't.
No, he obviously doesn't. But I think if he does stay anyway, which is an if, but I think he will. But I think if he does stay, I do think he's going to play in midfield next season as an 8. I think that's Amorim's plan. Whether that's going to be next to Casemiro or a new midfielder, we'd have to see.
When you say as an 8, do you mean as a 6 really, or
in the pivot?
He's supposed to play with 2 6s and 2 10s, aren't we? And I said this when we got this manager. I don't see Bruno as a number 6. I really don't. And you just said Ugarte's not better than him. Whenever Ugarte and Casemiro play together, I think we look more solid.
He's not a better player though. Today we didn't. Well, we were against 10 men, but we didn't concede, I suppose. We've got Mojo saying, from stormies coming to good times are coming. I hope building hopes is supported with the right decisions over the summer. Yeah, I don't know if everybody caught it, but Amorim's speech I thought was really good. But I'll tell you what, I'll give that guy some credit. He can speak. He can speak really well.
He knows the right thing to say. I'll say it before, innit?
I think that's what's given United fans a lot of hope. Just the way he's communicating what the future will look like under him. And I think it was very bold of him to say, I told you the storm was coming, which he did. And then he didn't say it directly, but he basically implied that the storm is over at the end of this season, and next season we are going to...
Technically, he didn't say that. He said the glory days are ahead.
Yeah, but...
So the storm could still be next season.
I get what she's saying.
It gave me that sort of vibe, the way he said it.
It's a bit open-ended, but yeah.
Yeah, because he's got to cover himself a little bit. Yeah. But I think it gave me a little bit of belief that he truly believes after this summer and getting with the team in pre-season, and hopefully the signings he's been promised, that he can start to build again. And I said to Ricky, again, I don't want to be delusional, and I really don't want to be, but I said to Ricky before the game, of course it could easily go the other way. We could be struggling again, and that is a possibility. But if you look at last season, Forest had 32 points and came 17th. I know they've ended up in, I think it's Conference League spot at the end of it all, but
I'll take that.
They're on 65. They're on.
Are they not in the Europa League?
They're on 6. I think they got knocked off it.
Yeah, they're not 5 Champions League.
Yeah, but 6 gets Europa, 7
just 7th.
There's only 1 Europa League.
Yeah.
No. If Palace won the FA Cup and they get one of the Europa League spots, if City would have beaten, Forest would be in the Europa League.
Okay.
But anyway, as I was saying, last season for Forest, 32 points. This season, 65. Things can change if you do the right things. They can change in a positive aspect. So I don't expect United to... I mean, we should always expect United to compete for the Premier League, but I don't expect us to compete for the Premier League next season. What I do expect is us to compete for Europe. And things, that can happen. So I thought it was bold of him to sort of take that direction. I mean, what did you guys think of it? Do you have that belief in him, Mordzs?
I've definitely still got a lot of questions, and that speech, I mean, I said it before, like he did say the right things, and the crowd at the end, everyone's clapping for him, singing his name, and you can tell that the fan base is still, well, the fan base here anyway, it's still got that hope, because I feel like that's all we can do anyway. We can only just hope, because the reality is there hasn't been anything this season to prove that it's 100% going to work. Realistically, there hasn't. So we are just kind of hoping that he does know what he's doing, and because, I mean, I said it on the build-up show, because he did say that this was going to happen, I kind of do want to wait and see if the glory days are going to come, because he has said the glory days, if that makes sense. So because he's already said we are going to struggle and then it's going to be good, well, we have struggled, which means technically he's on the right track of what he's been saying. So I do want to see if it does play out in his favour. But there is definitely a lot of questions, which I feel like he needs to kind of prove himself again next, well, not even again, but he needs to prove himself next season that he isn't going to continue to kind of make similar mistakes that he's made this season in terms of the way how he's been managed United already. That's one thing he has kind of got right, was what was going to happen. I know it wasn't in a sense of the way we wanted it to go. I don't think he quite
meant it was going to go this bad, though, did he? He did say there was going to be a storm. I don't think he meant this bad.
Yeah.
But he knew he could see it.
This is a hurricane.
And but that's a good sign that he could see it. Yeah. Even though a lot of people are getting carried away with them 2 wins and a draw, like he could see the signs, and the fact he could read that gives me a little bit of hope. But I think a way that United can jump a lot of places up the Premier League, And I think we saw it today. Like with the players we've got and the squad that we've got, and of course we've got to invest. But I think the way United can jump a lot of places up the league is buying some quality forward players. That is what is letting this team down. And don't get me wrong, we need wing backs. We need midfielders. I think we're all right centre backs wise, but wow, and we need a goalkeeper. But wow, how much of a difference would it make if we could just score goals and finish our chances off? Today was a massive sign again. I just think, imagine if you actually got, some quality attacking players in there. We'd run them ragged. We were running them ragged anyway.
I genuinely feel like one striker would make a difference. Like compared to this team today, if we had a good striker today, we could have won 6-0. That's literally it. And I feel like, yes, Haaland didn't get that many shots, but the way we were working the ball into that final third, there were so many opportunities. I remember there was one opportunity where mainly won the ball back. I think it was a mistake from the keeper, and he passed it to Haaland, and he tried to
his touch
I
was
don't even
wrong.
know what he was trying to do. To be
He
fair,
tried to control the ball and he didn't.
Yeah, literally. I just
yeah.
thought a good striker would either just try and take it first time or figure it out, or he'll have the awareness of taking a touch in the right space to give him a yard and to get a shot off. And I just thought genuinely one attacking player right now, a better attacking player, would change the whole game for us. So
I agree with that. I think we need a striker massively. I think everyone agrees with that. Even if you're not a United fan, you'd know that. But I also think as well, going into next season when Amorim has proper amount of time with his team, I think Ahmad should predominantly play wing back. I think it's his best position. I think that's where he thrives. I think that's where he's had his best moments. And I think that's when you're playing a 3 and then a 2 in front of it, I think you need wing backs that are able to get forward and cause a threat. And I think he does it so well. His reading of the game, his anticipation. Therefore, if you are playing Ahmad at wing back, I think you need 2 10s, not just one. I think you need 2.
Striker and 2 10s. We were saying that a few weeks ago, wasn't we? And I still think that's the way to go. I think Ahmad's got to be the starting right wing back next season. I think. Look, Ahmad's great on the ball, but I think the real shining quality with Ahmad is just when he's got the ball at his feet and he can just run. Yeah, I mean, the whole back line of the opposition team move, but they all of them. The full-back on the other side of the pitch does it. All of them, when he's got the ball, they anticipate he's going to create something and they all back off. Even if the chance doesn't come from Ahmad, it can create space for a striker, it can create space for a midfielder for a late run. It does so much. I just think that's definitely where you get the best out of Ahmad. I want to see him starting there next year. I think, look, it's probably unfortunate on Dallo, because I think he's been all right at points this season, but what's wrong with competition? We need competition.
Exactly. I mean, even his header, Højlund should take note. Fantastic.
Yeah,
absolutely fantastic. Ahmad's always been good in the air, and he's just an intelligent football player, a top football player. I mean, let's run a poll on this forum. Where should Ahmad start in this United team next season? Right wing back or 10? I think he will start both, but what will be his predominant position? Let's get that poll running and see what you guys think. Ricky, I know you're quite conservative. What's your thoughts on it?
On what? Sorry, I was thinking about centre-backs. I wanted to come back in on that.
Okay, go on. I was going to say...
Because you just said we're all right at centre-back, and if you look at the centre-backs recently, Lindelof's played nearly every game. Shaw's played a few games, and certainly played as a sub. 2
big injuries.
Even Evans has come on as a sub today as one of the centre-backs. So who have we actually got? We've got Yoro, Maguire, De Ligt,
Mazraoui,
Evan. Mazraoui can play there.
Yeah, Martinez.
Do you want to know why I said that? And in an ideal...
Even with all those players, though, Lindelof, Shaw and Evans have all had game time.
Injuries, though.
Exactly, but that's what I'm concerned about.
Honestly, and I do get you. In an ideal world, if United weren't strapped for cash and we were better in other positions, I would say we need a centre-back. I think we do. I think we do need a centre-back for cover. But we're at a point where what position... It's hard to find a position we don't need. We need...
Martinez has been injured 2 or 3 times, hasn't he? I think Yoro has been injured and out twice this season, hasn't he?
He's injured now.
And Heaven... I think Heavens... Has he had 2 injuries since we signed him? He's certainly been out for a while once.
I thought left-side centre-backs.
We seem to have centre-backs that aren't fit, you know what I mean? That's what I'm concerned about. Anyway, sorry, go on.
But yeah, as I was saying, I would want to get a centre-back. I'm not blind to the fact we need one, but I just think there's more priorities and we're working on a thin budget. So I think it can wait. It's not ideal, but I think it can wait if you can manage to get everybody fit and try and keep them fit, which Amorim seems to be better at doing than what Ten Hag was in terms of load management and game management. But we'll have to see. The centre backs have been a little bit of a Achilles heel for us, haven't they? But what would you rather, Ricky? Ahmad at wing back or at 10?
On that, he's good in both positions. I appreciate what you're saying, and he perhaps offers more danger from the wing. It might be a good shout, but then there's the argument if he gets closer. We haven't got other. Have we got other players that can offer much threat as a number 10? I'm not so sure.
saying we have to buy one.
I'm not sure. We're supposed to be. Is the Kuna deal still on? So. I don't know.
We should be going. We should go and get him and somebody else. Just so you know, with Mbumo scoring today, it's 20 goals in the Premier League.
Wow.
Wow.
20 league goals.
That's incredible.
Wow. And the assists.
Why United aren't going for it, I do not understand. I think we have to be in there. Him and Ahmad on that right hand side would be unreal. Physical and just.
Yeah,
what you need.
I do feel like with someone like Ahmad, not to say that he can't play with certain kinds of players, but I feel like he plays better depending on who the 10 is in front of him, if that makes sense. I feel like because he is an out-and-out winger anyway, if he was to play with a 10 who's also like a winger, it might disrupt his play a little bit, because when he is trying to be the furthest player wide, if
the other players drifting wide as well, it could get in each other's way. And I feel like today, I think he played with Kobe as a 10. And Kobe's not a winger, and Kobe's more of a midfielder, so he would drop into them pockets. But so Ahmad can have a lot more space out wide. So it just kind of depends on who he plays with. If we do get a 10, it's really got to complement Ahmad's game, because there's no point bringing a 10 in who's just a winger, and now we've got two wingers on the right side. It just makes no sense.
Yeah, I think Kobe did well there today, and I think Bruno's done well there in the past when Ahmad's been on the right, because Ahmad always wants that 1-2.
Yeah.
He always wants the 1-2, and if you've got a player who's not going to look for that straight away, then you may as well play with 9 men then. so yeah, it's got to be the right profile, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Hussein has said if we get a goalkeeper that's 9 points more, a proper striker 9 points more, and a new 10 with an addition to Cunha, that's 6 more points next season, which will bring us close to Champions League position.
That's how it works, isn't it?
Mark Holder says Ahmad should play left wing back.
I've heard it before.
I mean, I think Ricky would like that left footer on the left, but
he is predominantly left-footed. But I would like to see it, because he's dangerous enough on the right. Would we be even more dangerous? Maybe Højlund might like to see him play on the left, or if Højlund's playing, he might think he might get more chances if Ahmad's playing on the left. He'd be he'd be running down the wing to cross rather than cutting in to shoot so often.
Matt, we have Daniel saying, I need Ricky's opinion on McTominay winning Serie A.
Absolutely chuffed for the lad.
Did you see he won Player of the Season as well?
Yeah. I looked at the list of Player of the Season winners in Italy, like Zinedine Zidane and Bonucci and Ronaldo and Zlatan and Scott McTominay.
You'll like this, actually. I've literally just seen about half an hour ago a Napoli fan made the Napoli all-time 11, and the midfield was Maradona, Hamsik, McTominay.
No, they love him though. They love him.
Mate.
Can I just bring
so happy for him.
Just say one more thing. We'll move on for Scott McTominay very quickly, but I've just got to say something else. A lot of people, including Napoli fans, but people here are saying, he's gone over there and it suits him, and he's scored 12 goals. He scored 7 goals for us last season in not much over half the game time, because he wasn't playing for us. You know what I mean? So if he played all the time for us, he probably would have got 12 goals. Simple as that.
It's harsh to say that.
It is hard to say.
He did come on as a sub for most
I know
of the
it is hard to say, Mordzs, but you can't score a goal while you're sitting on the bench.
That is true.
He only played just over half the game time for us last season than he has for them this season, and he still scored 7 goals. He did say that. He got his profile at United. He did say that.
Big time. Loads of us said that.
Before Ten Hag.
No, but Ten Hag found his right position.
Oh, yeah.
Fair. I don't think Ten Hag wanted to sell him. It was the fact that they could get pure profit, the board, from him. Look, sometimes things don't work out. Look at Cole. Obviously, we're sat here now saying, why did we sell him? Because look at what we're doing. And he's absolutely smashing it. And I'm so happy for him. And I think he's been brilliant, and well done, Scott McTominay. But City, they let players go all the time. Like Cole Palmer's ripped it up for Chelsea, and they don't look back and think, why did we sell Palmer? They might do a little bit, but sometimes you've got to move on as a football club.
It's a bit different.
I know it is different.
They're still Champions League.
I know it's different.
We're crap and we're selling good players.
Yeah, if you're gonna do it, you've got to have the squad to back you up, which we don't, which is what I was about to say. So.
Yeah.
It's mad though how most players leave United and go on to do.
Where do you think he'd play in the team?
Who, McTominay?
Yeah.
Well, if the manager knew what he was doing in this role, and I have heard it on the grapevine, by the way, I'm not mentioning any names, that the manager is, because it was before this manager, and I've heard it said that he's gutted that we sold McTominay. So yeah. Where would he fit in his team? He's not a 6, is he? He'd have to play as one of the 10s, wouldn't he, in this system? He'd have to, and it's more or less, he's more or less playing like that.
If he played a 6, he'd be the same McTominay that we had.
I think he plays a 10.
I think McTominay.
That's why he's scoring goals so much. He's getting forward so much.
The one thing with McTominay was he was just a goal threat, man. He was one of the. Honestly,
I would have played him up front
he was one of our biggest goal threats last decade.
He's got a fantastic engine. When you've got him as one of your 10s, he gets back into midfield quickly. He's got big, good stride length. He works his socks off. So even though he's in there as a 10, when they've got the ball, he's immediately back in to help out in midfield. So he's, when they've got the ball, he would almost be a 6. You know what I mean? It's like playing with 12 men when you've got him.
One thing I'd say is I think he'd have more goals this season than United strikers if he started up front for us.
Absolutely.
Specifically Ireland, yeah.
Robert McCormack says McTominay and De Bruyne next season. Yeah, they're going after De Bruyne, aren't they?
Yeah, I've been saying this.
Who, Napoli are?
Yeah, if they get De Bruyne, McTominay could get 20 league goals. Genuinely.
Stop it.
He could get 20 in the league.
It doesn't work like that.
Pirate of the Perennium says, Hope can't buy 2 to 3 players, 120 million would. I know. It's unfortunate we've missed out on that money from the Champions League, but we can't look back. We've got to just keep moving forward. We will get some of it back through selling academy graduate Garnacho.
There's going to be a load going out.
And also Rashford as well. Shenanigans says, Villa officially appealing the decision. The media will milk this dry like the Onana red card versus Wolves, and refs won't give us another decision. Yeah, it's been put out there that Aston Villa are planning to make an official complaint to the Premier League after loss at Manchester United denies club Champions League qualification. Villa feel a more experienced referee should have been selected to officiate a game of such magnitude. PL have been approached for comments. So.
I expect there might be a VAR rule change off the back of that next season. The whole reason they couldn't do anything about it was because of the whistle going. Now you see a similar scenario when the linesman puts his flag up.
Exactly as I was thinking.
However, when the linesman puts his flag up, encouraged to still put the ball in the back of the net, just in case you are onside. But it doesn't work the same with the whistle. If the whistle goes, that's it. And
why can't the referee think like the linesman? It was a split. It took, if whether it was a foul or it wasn't a foul, it probably took a second or a second and a half. Linesmen keep the flags down sometimes for 20 seconds while the move develops, and you see if a goal comes from it. If the referee wouldn't have blew his whistle instantly, it takes a second and a half, perhaps, for him to put the ball in the net and then worry about if it's a foul or not.
Bear in mind, he's done it whilst there's a big open net as well.
Exactly.
What is he thinking?
You've got to wait.
I remember a Champions League game, I think it was City versus Dortmund. Do you remember Jude Bellingham won the ball back against Ederson? And he's running it into an open net, and the referee blew the whistle just before he put it in the net, and he stopped it.
And it's never a foul.
What's the point? He just ruined the game.
We've also got another super chat in here from Jacob Fatu saying, y'all said Ahmad was better at 10, now it's right wing back. I don't think any of us said that, did we?
I think we've probably also, I've certainly said at times, he's nearer to the goal playing as a 10, and I think maybe we should use him there so we can get more out of him. So it is a tricky one, but I think in a nutshell, are any of us absolutely sure which is the best position for him? Let's put it this way: he's such a good player, such a quality player. If he plays at right wing back, he'll be our best right wing back, and if he plays at 10, he'll be our best 10.
Also, if you had a quality right wing back playing with him in 10, it'd probably help him a lot.
Also, vice versa as well.
That's what I'm saying. So. Simply Red says Mark turned on Ruben because he's picking Garnacho's side. I mean, on that, it was interesting how Garnacho didn't get a goodbye today, really. Although he did, I think Amorim did an interview with TNT before the game and said that it's not his last game in a United shirt. But then he got asked, is he going to Hong Kong and Kuala Lumpur, and he said, yeah, he is. So that might be, I don't know. Right. I don't think the manager wanted to draw much attention to it, but you would assume it is Amorim's last game. Not Amorim's last game, Garnacho's last game.
What's probably likely is, the first thing I thought, right, so after that final, and straight away Garnacho came out saying, it's a disgrace how I only got 20 minutes or whatever. The first thing I thought was, well, that shaves about 15 million quid off what we probably would have got for him, because clubs know now that there's up and he's got to go. So clubs aren't going to pay 60, 70 million quid for him when they know that we're going to get rid of him regardless. So they probably had a word with Ruben and said, you know, don't go out there and say he's gone. We need actually try and get some money for him. I imagine that's the likely scenario.
Rob Always United says, Beth, where was my man Ugarte? I think there's rumours he's had a slight knock. Don't know though. He seems to be out of favour.
He's on the bench, isn't he?
I agree with you, by the way, in what you said then about that. I think that's a big good point. Mark Holder says, will Anthony get another chance? Don't think so. I think he'll be gone. Hopefully we can get some good money for him though, and I wish him all the best of luck in that Conference League final. Love him to go and beat Chelsea. Leo Heggie says, do you think Martinez had to make that foul? Just depends how much you back yourself in a one-on-one versus Højlund, to be honest. I think where he was at, it was difficult, but in hindsight he shouldn't have made it, because his team's then down to 10 men.
Because of how fast he came out, it was difficult for him to stop. However, the touch Højlund took was rubbish. I don't think Højlund would have scored. I think his touch was rubbish. Yeah, I thought his touch was awful, but the speed he came out at, good luck trying to stop.
It was a proper clash, weren't it?
Yeah.
Something that fascinates me when I think about it, and I know you can't, a goalkeeper can't do this because of how ridiculous it'd look. But if he just leaves it and lets him score, they're 1-0 down with 11 men on the park, and I think you've got more chance. And I know he can't do that, but when you come in racing out, and sometimes it's going to be obvious, you need to pull out. And like you just said, hopefully he takes a bad touch. He does. Just because you don't get the ball or the man, it doesn't necessarily mean he's going to score. He'll probably score.
You might have done enough. You might have done enough to put him off.
You need to prevent yourself from getting a red card. That is a real disaster, getting a red card.
Just again on the Garnacho thing, it's coming in again from the BBC, Simon Stone. Garnacho did not get a farewell from the stadium announcer Alan Keegan, but he made sure he got the most out of his walk around Old Trafford and stood for a while in front of the Stretford end. Ruben Amorim has told Garnacho he can leave the club this summer. He was one of the last players on the pitch, so it does seem like he is going to go.
He's absolutely gone.
You have
no chance he stays.
Glazers out says, should Bruno go? I think yes, if we get 120 mil just to put Bruno in the starting 11. We have made so many changes, which has been bad for the team. And Timothy Boyd says, Beth, you were fantastic today on TNT. Congrats to you and the team. P.S. Love listening to Ricky breathing heavy down the mic. Thank you very much. I appreciate that, Timothy. On the Bruno, this is what I wanted to bring up next. So it was an excellent super chat, because I don't think we've properly spoken about this with Ricky on live. Ricky, 120 mil for Bruno. Should United take it, and why?
100% they should take it, but look, if they're going to back the manager, which it does seem as though they're going to, they need to back him in a big way. And there's rumours that they've got 100 million to spend. If you can turn that into 200 million to spend, you know, he might sign five players. And if he's look, a manager and his staff, they should have the finger on the pulse for players who they're looking at, who they quite fancy, who they might get for 20 or 30 million. You know, with 200 million, you might be able to sign more than half a team if you've got your finger on the pulse. So I think it'd be crazy not to. I mean, even if the staunchest Bruno fan has got to accept that if we're going to sign 5 or 6 players who are hopefully going to be starters in the lineup or close to it, it's got to be a fair swap. It's like swapping him for 6 players. You know what I mean? So yeah, without a doubt.
So 100 to 120 million for Bruno this summer. Should United take it?
Yeah, I was very on the fence, but I think they've got to take it, just because, you know, the size of the rebuild. That, I mean, if you look at that team that started on Wednesday, there's only 2 players in that team who we can see us building on. I'd say Yoro and Ahmad, you know, quality players, but young players. Bruno's not getting any younger. He could go into, we'd get another 2 seasons out of him anyway. I think we really would kick ourselves if we'd made no progress in 2 years and we didn't take that money. I think the time's right. It's unfortunate. I think the main thing with Bruno is the attitude and the desire to win, and he wears his heart on his sleeve. He puts himself out there like he's Mr. Man United. Do you know what I mean? He obviously cares, but I find it very hard to be sentimental about a player who look, since he's been at United, we've been on a downward trajectory, and I know people say it's not his fault, but I just find it hard to be sentimental about any of them players, to be honest. I think that's the point I've just reached with them, where I just want to put this whole era of the last 3-4 years behind me. I really want a clear. When we say clear out, I mean I want a clear out. I want in 2-3 years' time, I want to see a completely new 11. Like, I mean, from goalkeeper to striker, every position, I want to see new players. And I think, 120 million quid. It's good money. It's money that can be well spent. I think where people are worried is they don't trust the board to reinvest the money, in a useful way. I think that's where the worry comes in for people. But yeah, I suppose we've got to trust them, haven't we? What choice do we have?
You also heard Amorim, I think it was in his press conference yesterday, did acknowledge the scenario with the recruitment, and he said that it's a joint effort. If they want a player, as in the recruitment team, that he doesn't want, it's a no. But if he wants a player that the recruitment team don't agree on, then it's a no. They've got to come to a decision together. They've both got to agree. And that gives me a little bit of hope, in the sense of, I think it's probably the first time in a very long time that you have a proper recruitment team and a manager on the same page going into a window together. A manager that I actually trust in terms of the way he's looking out for players, for the way he wants to play. The only one I've not agreed with Amorim on is Kobe, that's it. Everything else, like, he's brought Ahmad forward, he's trusted in Euro, he's even, I'm going to hold my hands up, by the way, guys. Obviously, it's early days yet, but I was very critical of Dorgu when he came in, and I still think we need to invest in a left wing back to compete or be the senior left wing back, and I still think he's got a lot of developing to do. However, in recent games, I think he's really showing signs of improvement and he's getting more comfortable, and I can see signs of him on an upwards trajectory. He's very robust and he's getting in some really good positions. So Dorgu, happy with his improvement, but still, I think I know what you're saying there with the recruitment, and I know what the fan base have them fears. I have them as well. But we are going into a window where the manager and the recruitment team hopefully are on the same page. But next up, Mordzs, I've got to come to you. Bruno Fernandes, 100 to 120 million. Do you sell? Yes or no?
Before the final, it was 100% no. I was saying he's worth 200 million. There's no way we're selling Bruno Fernandes. Now, I'm not saying the finals completely changed my mind, but I was thinking as well, as I said on the build-up show, I have a feeling that the board are going to look at it in a similar way they looked at the whole Rashford situation, where there's a point where we could have got Rashford sold for 80, 90, maybe more. And they decided to not do it. I think it was in January last year, they decided to not do it, and they kept him. And now it's, 40 million maybe that we might get for him. There's a chance they might look at Bruno the same way and think, you know what, we either get 100 or 120 million now, or we wait till next year, and we're not going to win the league next year, to be honest. We're not going to win it the year after. And we wait till then and we go and sell him for what, 50, 40, 50, something like that. So you kind of got to look at it in a sense of, you want to get the most out of your best players, or not the best players, but you just want to get the most out of your players. You're going to have to take that risk now and sell him now, just so you can get the most out of him, because we're not going to get more than 120 million ever.
That's a really good point.
We're never going to get more than 120 million for any player that we have right now, let's be honest. So in that sense, I do hear it. I don't want him to go, though, I'll be honest. That's my personal choice is no, but from a United, from like a non-biased sense of point of view, I can understand why they want to cash in now.
Yeah, I think to further back that up as well, I mean, if you really water it down and look at it on paper, we've got a club who is sacking staff left, right and centre. They can't even pay for the dinners for the staff. Why would you refuse 100 million quid when we've just finished 15th and got no Europe? Like, from a business point of view. I mean, if you just completely forget about the football aspect, we need money. We're skint.
Yeah.
Like, we're football skint.
This puts it into perspective a little bit for me. Kevin says, Bruno sold equals Gyökeres and Mbeumo. The possibility of that, let that sink in. And that's where, even as the biggest Bruno fan, I looked at it and I think them two additions would be brilliant for Manchester United if you can do that, and the affordability of it. The thing is with Bruno going for me, and again, like, even on the pitch now, I can acknowledge as someone who I still think Bruno is a fantastic player, that he's maybe not best suited for this system. Still think he's a great player, but I can acknowledge that. For me, it's more about I just don't think we have many leaders or much experience in that dressing room at all.
Sometimes people step up when there's a vacancy there to be a leader. When you've already got a leader, it's easy to be like, well, he's a leader, so I don't need to do anything. I can sit back and kind of be more comfortable. But when there is no leader, it's like, okay, who's going to step up? That's when you'll see people just walk into that position. De Ligt might walk into that position. Dalot, Martinez, Casemiro will be still in next season, or whoever else. I don't know whoever else in the team, but somebody might walk into that position because they can see that vacancy. And we just might not understand it now because they don't have the chance to be a captain yet. So I feel like, even I do get you mean, we don't have many captains in the team, but you never know. In a season or two, somebody could walk into that place very easily.
Interesting. Zay says, who's going to be the leader of the pitch if not Bruno? Who's going to push the youth to excel? Remember what Cantona did for the youth back in the 90s? And well, Mordzs has just answered that one. And Keel Robinson said, the fact that this team can't function without Bruno is why he needs to go. We need a team, not a Bruno club, just like when Cantona left. Timothy Boyd sent 5 United Stand memberships. Mark Holder says Lamptey and Pedro from Brighton would be great. Vix01, thank you for the super chat. Class of 99 says, serious question, who's had a worse season, Onana or Højlund?
Højlund.
Yeah, Højlund for me.
Agreed.
Yeah, probably, which is mad to think because Onana's had a pretty bad season as well. Onana being left out today, do you think that was just Binder's last game for United, so give him a bit of game time, you know, hopefully get some money for him, or do you think it goes beyond that? And we know Amorim doesn't want Onana as his number 1 next season. Do you think that's him trying to push him out the door?
I hope so.
Anybody's guess.
Yeah, I hope so though. I've never been a fan of either of them, Binder or Onana. I don't even think you've got to do much to replace them. I mean, there's Tom Eaton still at the club the next year. I'd have him as your bench.
Big Tom Eaton fan,
I'd just have him as your bench keeper because he's not a bum. Yeah, like Tom Eaton is not a bum, by the way. He's actually a good keeper.
Tom Eaton has extended his contract.
Good. I'd have him as my bench keeper and I'd go and replace Onana this year. That's what I'd do. I don't know what Amorim's going to do, but that's personally, I think I don't think
Onana can't be starting for United.
Yeah, no way can we go into another season with him. We can't do it.
I don't think he will. I think Amorim will be strong on that, and I think he knows. And this is where I do trust and believe in Amorim, is I think he knows there's no way he can start. And I think he'll drive that through this summer.
Hopefully.
Even if he brings in competition as a second keeper, I don't think Onana will find himself starting.
Yeah,
even if he stays at the club, I think what will happen is maybe what happened with, when Arteta had Ramsdale and then Raya came in for competition and they were both going to get a chance, and then Ramsdale ended up on the bench all season and realised I probably should get myself.
Yeah, the writing was on the wall.
I probably should get myself a move here. I'm not playing. I think that might happen. Onana might not go, but we'll bring in somebody else, and then even if he does stay, I think he'll end up on the bench most of the season and try and get a move at the end of the season next year. But we'll see what happens with him. We'll see what happens there. My next question, thank you everyone for your comments, by the way. Also, 70% of you think Ahmad should be starting as right wing back next season. Interesting from the chat, 70-30 in there. My next question is, and I'll start with you, Mordzs, on this because I came to you last, is there any players, and if so, name them, who are untouchable to be sold in the summer, looking for a full clear out like most of us want?
Oh, I mean, untouchable is a tough statement to make.
Or who you wouldn't want to leave?
Okay, who I wouldn't want to leave, I think Lenny Euro is going to be one of the first names, just because since he's come, I mean, he was already one of the most sought after young centre-backs in the world before he came. Real Madrid wanted him, and Real Madrid don't go for anyone. But I think even since he's been here, he's already improved on what he already had. I think his game, his on-the-ball game, his driving up the pitch, his progression, his passing, his understanding of the game, he's very quick as well, tall. I think Lenny Euro is going to be a starting centre-back for United for the foreseeable future. And as long as his injuries don't continue to kind of trip him up and set him back a little bit, I think he has to stay. Has to stay. So yeah, he's one. I think obviously Ahmad, kind of obvious. After that, I'm trying to think. Okay, you know what? Wild shout. Not even a wild shout. I just think he's a great player. Aiden Heaven. I think he's another young player who's got so much talent, and there's so much that he can build off. He's not even had the best opportunity this season to even prove himself. He played a couple of games before he got injured, and then he was gone for a few months, and now he's had 1 or 2 games back since then. So I think if he's able to be rotated in and out of the team next season, not to start, but be rotated in and out of the team, I think we've got a very good player there as well. Who else is there? There's not many others that I'd say are 100%, that I'd 100% like. I'm trying to think if there's someone obvious that I've missed.
Did you say Ahmad?
Yeah, I said Ahmad.
What about Kobbie Mainoo?
Kobbie, yeah. No, Kobbie is one as well.
I know you
actually.
really like him.
Yeah. And the thing is, I always say I'm biased to Kobbie Mainoo. I'm not bothered. I'm a player FC for Kobbie Mainoo all the time, because I just think he's got so much talent, and he represents what United should be. Like, bringing up players from academy who are very, very talented on the ball, technically gifted players who can play multiple positions. I think he's just a player who should be in our team he should be a United player next year. We should be lucky to even have a player of that quality at such a young age. So even though he might not fit Amorim's system right now or whatever, the fact that he can still develop and be able to progress and learn the things that he's not been able to learn the different attributes that he might not have to fit into the team right now, he can easily do that. He's a smart player, probably one of our smartest players that we have. So Kobbie Mainoo is another player. Other than that, I'm trying to think if there's anybody that I've missed, but the rest of them.
I'd throw someone in there. I mean, I wouldn't be saying the club's on the floor and we've made the biggest mistake of our lives, but one player I would really want to see go into next season is Xerxes, which is mad.
I was going to say.
think from the start of the season. I actually think he really found his feet second half of the season, showed some proper bits of quality, and even in the small bit he did play in the final, I thought he was just such a vast improvement at Hoyland straight away, some smart touches, and that's not him not even at 100% fitness. And I really like the attitude of him to do everything he could to at least make himself available for that final. So, and he obviously had a small knock after it, so he probably wasn't ready either. I want to see what he can do. I'm not saying he's going to be the be-all and end-all, but I want to see what he can do. I mean,
I'm like 70-30 on Xerxes, I'll be honest. I like him as a player, and I think he's got so much more that he can give to this team. And again, injuries kind of ruined it. He's going so well, and that injury kind of just killed him off at just the wrong time. But if I'm being 100% honest, and not to be negative, but I mean, if this had Xerxes got sold next season, I wouldn't cry about it. Obviously.
No, I wouldn't be.
I wouldn't be that like, oh my gosh, Xerxes not here next year. He hasn't got that like it factor for me that makes me think, oh yeah, Xerxes has to be a player for us next year. He hasn't got that for me, I'll be honest. But he's a good player, good squad player. He can bring him in and out the team. He can do something different than what our current striker can do. A lot better, actually. So I'm happy that he's going to be here next year, but
I just want to see more of him in the future. That's
100%.
I think he's got potential. I just want to see more of him.
Yeah, for me, he's in that group of young players who I wouldn't say the jury's out on them. I'd just say they've got loads of room to develop. That a little group, say Xerxes in there, I'd say Cobbie's in there, Heaven's in there. Just players who I really think. The Kobbie one's interesting because I'm really surprised so many people have jumped on Kobbie so quick to say, the manager doesn't rate him, he don't fit the system. Like, the manager's been here like 5-6 months, and Kobbie's 20 years old. That's just nonsense. I think in 2-3 years' time, Kobbie will be starting for United. Even if Amorim is the manager, I just think he's that good. I think people forget how good he is. Xerxes, personally, look, I know Xerxes kind of divided opinion a little bit, but he seemed to win a lot of fans over in the second half of the season. But I just think when you look at Xerxes, I know it's like, I've not got statistics or anything to back it up. I just, with my eyes, when I watch Xerxes, I think there's a footballer in there. I think there's a really good footballer in there. So another one we didn't mention, Mazraoui. I think Mazraoui's earned his spots to stay.
A lot of players been mentioned.
Ricky, what are your...
Well, we can't
a lot of players been mentioned, then we're 15th in the league.
we can't. I get what you're saying. I thought that might come up. Yeah, I was going to say. I thought because I could list of maybe 8 to 10 players here. I thought someone might go, "You just said we want full player out, but we can't do it all now."
This is the thing.
Even
though I've said I want Xerxes to stay and I'd want to see more of him next season, I don't think he should be in the starting 11. Yeah. You need a squad. There's players there that I don't think will be in the starting 11 that I want to stay, but you need a squad. It's like Aiden Heaven. I don't know if he'll start, but you need a squad. That's kind of where it's at. I mean, Ricky, what are your thoughts on it?
As you just said, or as Sully's just said, you can't just get rid of everybody all at once. So if the question is, who do we need to keep to build a team around and build a squad around who we've got a chance of climbing the league with, I'd probably agree with most of the ones that you've said. If you was to ask me the question, which players in our squad do you think are good enough to play regularly in a team that's going to challenge for the championship, I'd say one. And that's Ahmad. I'd say one.
Wow.
I would also, if he was fit, I would also say Luke Shaw, but I'm only really thinking of younger players anyway. So we've got one player.
Luke Shaw?
Yeah, he's good enough. He's he's finished second twice in the league anyway, so it's a fact.
Okay, so
but he's older. He's older.
Rashford?
Yeah, as well. So these players.
Do you think Rashford's good enough to start for United?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that.
But Bada's finishing twice in the league.
All I'm saying is it has happened, so there's no reason in saying it can't happen again. Then it's happened for Rashford, it's happened for Luke Shaw. There's no reason to say it can't happen again. But obviously, he's got terrible injury problems, Shaw, and he's also, I think he's the wrong side of 30 now, isn't he? So really, I'm looking at the younger players anyway. I'm looking at the players who are like under 28, and I would say we've only got one player who's when I say only one, there's players that I want to see a bit more of. Yoro, Heaven, even Dorgu to an extent. But I don't really think Dorgu's going to do it. But he's improving, like Beth said. They might have a chance, but there's only one that I would nail my hat on and say he's good enough to play in a team that's challenging for the title, and that's Ahmad. When I look at the young centre-backs, Heaven and Yoro, if you look at Arsenal's two centre-backs, two beasts, will they ever lace their boots? I hope they do.
I think they will eventually.
I hope they do, but I won't put my house on it.
Yeah,
they're only challenging for the title, by the way. They're not winning it, are they?
Yeah. No, I agree with what you're saying. Mine was more a case of which players do I not want to be sold.
I get that. Yeah, we can't just get rid of everyone, and we need to try and climb the league. We've got to keep. Look, I don't know how many we're going to sign. Surely we're not. If we sell Bruno and we've got 200 million quid to spend, we might sign 6 players. And they don't all work. It's never going. If we sign 6 players, I'll be more than happy if 3 of them are nailed on starters by the time they've played a few games each. Do you know what I mean? So if 3 of them are nailed on starters, we need 8 players that are playing now to be in the team, and then you need your squad back up as well, another 10. Yeah. So we need to keep a lot of players really that are in this squad.
Yeah.
Alex Marman says Heaven and Dorgu have been good as Amorim signings. Starbucks says, am I crazy for wanting Maguire to captain next season? He has the mentality. M. Parker said, special mention for all Beth's hard work this season, holding down the fort with such poise and certainty. Thank you very much. And everybody else as well, like the guests that we have on the forum have all been fantastic. The forums this year, despite how poor of a season has been, we've had some great moments and some great chats, great debates, and as well, everybody in the gallery, Greg, Sam and Matt and Ryan and everyone like that deserves a big shout out for all the hard work this season. So thank you, M. Parker, for your super chat. And obviously the boss Goldbridge as well. Slazy says Xerxes could be our Firmino with better wingers. Class of 99 says definitely look forward to seeing more of Xerxes. He's a baller. Alex Marman says the fact we played so well today just annoys me even more. They can't play under pressure. Amorim needs to do what he did at Sporting and clear the squad out. I do think he will do that. Keel Robinson says, keep Bruno, it's not a rebuild, it's a rebrand. The Green Team says, new centre forward and goalkeeper, Corbett and Cunha as the 10s, Ahmad wingback, sell Bruno, good foundations for me. Netflix and Chilwell says, it's scary to think as fans we're discussing finances in depth when we used to talk about who we wanted, but now we have to get an abacus out. Zlazy said, oh, I've done that one. Thank you, everyone, for all your super chats. Brilliant stuff there. Hope I've not missed any. I've tried to get as many in as I possibly can, and I think I have got them all in. But last but not least, guys, the last few minutes of the final fans forum of this season. Hopefully a season to forget, and one that we won't endure again. But does anyone have any last words or thoughts to kind of round up this season for Manchester United and on the United stand?
She doesn't like the little award things.
Not time.
Not time.
Not had time to fit him in. We'll have to do another forum, eh?
Yeah. Last words. Ricky, go on.
Yeah, Ricky's job, this one.
It's just gone from bad to worse, hasn't it? Horrendous. Look, I've just listened to the manager, and he sounded great. I always enjoy listening to him. He does talk a good game. I'm not saying in that in a critical manner. It does sound like he knows what he's on about. But we shouldn't, we shouldn't be in this position. And when the points that we've taken from the games that he's been in, let's be honest. This is a fact, isn't it? It's nothing short of appalling. It's nothing short of appalling. So all I can say is, hopefully when he gets one or two players that he likes, I can't believe that he hasn't changed his formation. If he thinks the formation doesn't suit the players, he's got to stick to his formation. But you need to get points on the board. So I'm a little bit up in the air with it. And if he gets money to spend, please God, it works for him next season, because I do like him. I know that wasn't about the manager, the question, but that's an answer to how this season's gone. It's been horrendous, and it's gone from bad to worse.
That's where everyone's eyes are, innit? The manager. I was like Rick said about changing the formation or changing something that suit the players more. I was on that boat until we definitely wasn't getting relegated. As soon as that,
you were genuinely worried.
There was a time where our midfield was getting absolutely slaughtered every game, and we were looking at the fixtures coming up. Everton were winning, West Ham were winning, and we were looking and we were like, we could be battling here for that 18th place. As soon as that got, nullified, I was very, I knew I was going to reserve all my judgment on Amorim until next year. I think it's only fair that, he gets to have his first full season, and I think he will benefit from this little 5 months, 6 months period of pain, because it's been pain and suffering. But I think it will benefit him because he goes into next season with a little bit of knowledge. He's got to have a feel for the players, a feel for the Premier League is a big one in itself. So I think it sounds cliche, but I do think it could be short-term pain for long-term gain. I'm usually negative on here. I'm usually proper negative, but I do think this little 6 months that we managed to get our way through it without getting relegated. I think it could do him a load of good going into his first full season. So I'm reserving all my judgment on him now until next season. I will be very critical of him next year. If we get to December and we're bottom half of the table, I will be raising questions. Don't worry. However, for now, he deserves his chance.
And you know what, Tull? I really like that positivity and that hopeful thinking. And I think as United fans, people keep asking me, is it going to get even worse in here? I don't think it can, to be honest with you. But I think you've got one thing that I would do anyway, and everyone can act different. Everyone can go about their lives how they want to go about it. I want to try and be hopeful that what you've said is right, because I've got to hold on to something getting me through the summer. I've got to believe that we can come back, and I think Amorim's a great talker, and I truly hope that my belief in what he's saying he's going to do will pay off. But look, we are going to have to wrap it up. We have Alex Marman saying Ugarte and Manu were unlucky not to start the Europa League final, considering how they got us in the final, but unlike Garnacho, they acted professionally. And Alex also says Heaven and Doggy have been good signings. Look, everyone, smash a like on the video. Shout out to everyone who's been on the fans forum this season. We will do more fans forums. We'll do post-season fans forums. I'm sure we will. And I've seen a couple of people in the chat saying, are we going to do fans forums for the pre-season games in Malaysia and
post-season games.
Yeah, post-season games in Kuala Lumpur and Hong Kong. Yet to be decided. We'll ask the boss, who will be live at 8 p.m. I'm hoping with a bald head shaved.
Oh yeah, he said he's going to do that.
He said he'd shave his head if we won today. So I'm expecting to see that at 8 p.m. Everyone tune in.
Baldbridge.
But well done, everyone, for getting through this season. Shout out to Kev as well, Usman, Jordan, Sam, anybody else who I'm missing who's been on the forums. Credit to you guys and for getting us through this season, and credit always to the brilliant, fantastic community who's here to debate us and get involved every single week, win, lose or draw. Feel the pain together, feel the good times together. Hopefully there's more good times next season. Thankfully that one is done. Thank you everyone for watching, and we will see you on the next one.